welcome to another episode of Triumph and Tiaras. I am your hostess, Suzanne Proksa, Business Strategist and Coach for female entrepreneurs who are purpose-driven and looking to make a major impact in the world. This podcast is my passion and is intended to showcase women who have overcome obstacles to hopefully inspire and empower all of you to do the same. And now on with the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Triumph and Tiaras. I am Suzanne Proksa, your host, and I am here today with Melissa Ricker, who has a story that I think a lot of you are going to be able to relate to, and it has to do with some identity crisis and some of the struggles that we deal with because of how we've been conditioned. And I think also the moms for sure are going to want to listen closely to this episode because I think she has a very powerful message for you. And so with that, I'm going to let Melissa introduce herself and then start out by telling us her story. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Very excited to have you.
Thank you. So yeah, my name is Melissa Ricker, like you already said, and I'm an integrative wellness and life coach. And I work with mothers, mostly overwhelmed and underjoyed mothers who kind of have gotten lost in the chaos and stress of motherhood. And I help them kind of move to a better reality, one that's kind of more filled with passion, success, and joy. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I kind of help them redefine themselves, rediscover their purpose and goals in life, and then work to streamline their days so that they can actually fit it all in, which is, kind of a crazy thought for most mothers, but really flourish as both, a mother and a woman. And that's kind of what my story is about. So the story I wanted to talk about today on the podcast is kind of one of what you call like an identity crisis, or it's kind of more like identity theft. So I was stuck, for lack of a better word, for a long time. I mean, probably 2 decades if I really added it all up. So that's what I want to focus on today, because being stuck and kind of going down the wrong path is what eventually drove me to finding the happiness, the joy, and the fulfillment that I never could find before. And it's really probably because I was so stuck that I'm now so passionate about helping other women and other mothers get unstuck and, find what truly lights them up inside. So it all started when I was real little, before I can even really remember. But I grew up being heavily pressured to do something with my life, like something big. And I don't know what started it, but I was constantly being pushed by my parents, my teachers, my classmates. I mean, just everybody in my life was pushing me. And maybe it was when, I was in first grade or something and identified as gifted and talented. I don't know, but it was very, very early on. But my entire life, all I heard was things like, "You're so smart, Melissa. You're going to be the first woman on Mars, Melissa." Or, I'd bring home a test with, or a report card that said 95, and that wasn't good enough. It was like, "Why didn't you make 100? You're better than that." Or, you have to be the one in our family that's going to make it big, to make rich. And then I also got a lot of pressure to do it, to prove that women can do it, compete with the man. And I know everyone had really good intentions. They were not trying to steer me down the wrong path. I mean, these are people that loved me. But these are the messages that I got when I was growing up. And so what did I do? I mean, that's what I did. I busted my butt. I was president of the robotics team in high school. I graduated with a 4.0. I chose the most complicated sounding major in college just to, impress my parents and my teachers. To be honest, this is what I did. I I went down the list of majors and I picked out nuclear engineering. I had no idea what it was or what I'd do with it. But I went on and I even got my master's degree in it. So I have my master's degree in nuclear engineering. I did all of my research, on the NASA zero gravity aircraft. I won all sorts of these awards. And then I graduated and I started immediately just going for bigger things, leadership opportunities, just higher positions, just more, more, more. I just couldn't stop. And I'd set these lofty goals and I'd go after them just to like prove that I could do it. And then, my family was proud of me. They bragged about me. And, it made me feel good, I guess, in a way, because that's what I was trying to do, was make other people proud. But I wasn't happy. I mean, oh my goodness, I was so crazy unfulfilled. It was the strangest thing. I had no idea why, because I felt I should be happy. I felt this like guilt because I had this great job, I was making great money, and I knew other people, who were out there that just struggled to find work. They couldn't keep a job, and they struggled to make, ends meet each month. I mean, some people in my family were having a really rough time, and so I just felt awful because I thought I should be happy, but I was so far from being happy. But I didn't know what to do, right? Because this is all I'd ever known. So I just kept working my way up, and getting different promotions. And then I met a great guy and I married him. And then I still wasn't happy. And so I thought, well, you know what? We're gonna have a baby, right? Because little cute babies, I'm sure that's gonna make me happy. But I just never got there, and it was so frustrating because being happy and fulfilled was, all I wanted. It was all I wanted, and I was looking for it in all the wrong places. And then what ended up happening is I decided to quit my job, which sounds insane because it was a secure position. I was making, those healthy six figures, but I just left. And I was like, I'm going to stay home with my baby. So you can imagine kind of the reaction that people had, all these people who wanted me to, be the first woman on Mars. I can almost kind of still hear the sounds of their jaws, like smacking the floor when I told them. But, I had to do something. I didn't know what to do, but I knew I had to do something because, here I am. Now I'm in my, I had turned 30, and I think I was 32 or 33. And I was unhappy, and I was like, I just cannot keep going on like that. So I thought, you know what, all moms want to stay home with their babies and want to spend more time with the babies. That is going to make me happy. So that's what I did. But then guess what happened? I think I was even further away from happiness at this point. And then my guilt, because I had guilt before, but now once you become a mother, there's this thing they call mom guilt. And it's no joke. And I just felt so guilty, and even started to get into a little bit of depression because I loved my baby, like more than anything, but, I wasn't being fulfilled staying at home with him, because I still felt like I needed more. I felt like something was still missing and I needed something for myself. So after a while, kind of spiraling into this little bit of depression, I started doing some kind of deep work on myself. And how I did that was I started blogging. It was kind of like journaling, but online. And I found myself using that blog as kind of a way to rediscover myself, because it was almost like I had to get to know myself all over again. It was almost like didn't even know who I was, even after, 30 something years. So I was just writing this blog and I was just pouring my heart and soul into it. And then something happened, like other mothers started following my blog. And I started getting these emails, and these women started asking my help for my help. And, I was amazed. And somehow this little blog that had started as a way to kind of heal myself turned into this coaching business. And then I was getting requests to come do motivational speaking. And I started helping these other mothers, go kind of take a similar journey that I had gone on. And all of a sudden, I was happy. Like, I loved it. And what I realized after all of this is that for all those years, I mean, starting from the time I was very little, I was pursuing someone else's dream, and it wasn't my own. I felt pressure to be someone that I wasn't. I never was. And I let that pressure run my life, make all my decisions, and really ultimately steal my identity, because I lost who I was. I couldn't even remember anymore what I enjoyed, what made me happy. And then becoming a mother on top of that, I completely lost my sense of self-worth and self-respect. And I really thought I was just destined to never be happy, that there was no place that I could be happy. And I think that's what happens to us, especially women and mothers, like society. And by society, I mean everybody, like our parents, our teachers, our friends, even strangers we see on the street, the TV shows we watched, magazines we read. I mean, society tells us what we need to do, what we need to be, what we need to think, what we should look like. What happens is we end up listening, and we get programmed so deeply that we don't even realize that we're not living for ourselves anymore. We're living for somebody else, and we don't even know it. And then we just can't figure out why we're not happy. We don't know what it is that we really want anymore. We've kind of just lost sight of that. And we go after this, societal definition of success because that's what we know. That's what we've been programmed, and we just follow blindly for what others tell us that we should want. And for mothers, it's so much worse because society is really tough on mothers. I mean, the corporate world is tough on mothers. Other women and other mothers, unfortunately, are really hard on mothers. And the biggest part is mothers are really hard on themselves. And we get so caught up in being like the best mother that we can be because we love our children. But we get so caught up in that we totally forget to be kind to ourselves. And we end up letting our dreams and our ambitions and, even basic self-care kind of go to the back burner. And over time, we find ourselves like slowly drifting away from the things that used to light us up, what we used to enjoy doing, our passions and our goals in life. And, we get so busy as mothers, between the diapers, and soccer games and the PTA meetings and the homework, everything that comes with it, not to mention the careers that we're trying to build, and that we no longer know how to fit it all in. So we just kind of go into what I call survival mode, and we think that's okay because society tells us it's okay. As long as we do things a certain way, it's okay. That's what we're supposed to do, but then we don't feel whole. And a lot of us don't like to admit that, and sometimes it can be it can raise a trigger in us because it's almost shameful, or it seems almost shameful, like at least in society's eye, that our babies don't make us whole or make us fulfilled. And it's unfortunate because those babies are, they're a huge part of the equation, but we're more than just mothers, and that's okay. We need to be more than mothers. And sometimes, our purpose in life changes a little bit after becoming a mom. And sometimes we have to redefine ourselves a little bit. And that's okay too, because it's actually what we really need to do. And just kind of, I'll talk forever if you let me, but getting back to my story, like once I realized, who I really was, like both as a mom and a woman, like it was life-changing. I mean, when you live a life that you love, it's revolutionary. Like it changes everything. And I had all my life had not realized it. And, once I could gain that clarity and really start embracing who I was down at my core and kind of living in alignment with that woman, like the whole world opened up for me. And it opens up for you too, once you get that kind of clarity. And it's crazy how it happens. I mean, it's just crazy because that's when I became whole again. And, for the mothers out there that are listening, I'm telling you, the best gift you can give your family is a mom who is whole. And the best thing that you can teach your children is to filter out the things in life that don't serve who they are at their core. Because society will try to pressure them just as it pressures us to fit in, but we have to teach them to follow their dreams, no matter what society tells us. Don't let the outside world define their happiness or define what success means to them. And the best way we can teach those things to our children is by modeling them ourselves. So by taking care of ourselves, by following, what our purpose in life, and really just living in alignment with what really matters, doing the things that, really light you up. Because if you want your kids to be whole, and I'm sure that, we all do, you yourself must be whole so that they can see what being whole looks like, and, what being whole feels like. And that's how they learn. So sorry if I went on a little rant there, but that's what I'm really passionate about, and that's what I've had to learn through my own journey, and I'm sure that some other women out there will identify with that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I know plenty of people who just feel like they get up, they take care of the kids, they go to bed, and that's it. And you can just tell that they are, they're not fulfilled, and they don't think that there's anything else that they can do. And it's always exciting me to see, even if I have a friend that maybe gets into like an MLM or something like that, that all of a sudden they start to see that light, and they're like, oh my goodness, this is a thing. Like this is something that I can do. And so I think that your message is very important for other women to realize that it is absolutely normal and okay to feel that way, and that there is more for you if you want it. So my question for you though is, how does somebody know that they're on the wrong path?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it sounds like it should be obvious. I mean, it sounds like you should know, but I certainly didn't. And so often, with the women and mothers that I work with, they don't even realize that they're on path. All that they know is that they are unhappy, or they don't, something's off. They don't, they're not. They know that there's more out there. So obviously, after telling my story, we can be on the wrong path for a long time, and maybe we're not aware of it, or maybe we just haven't accepted it, or maybe we know it, but we don't know what to do about it. So obviously, when we become mothers, we take on, a new purpose in life to raise those little babies. But we have other purposes in life too, and those are the ones that we sometimes lose, a little bit in motherhood. Sometimes we never found them. Like me, it took me becoming a mother and going through this journey to really find what I really feel like I was put here for. But yeah, there's a few kind of telltale signs that might signify that you're on the wrong path, or that you haven't found your true purpose, or you're just, the life that you're living now, isn't in alignment with that purpose. So if you say if you can know that all the decisions that you're making, that you've made in your life, haven't really been made by you at all. If you found that they're being made by someone else, that's a big sign, because so many of us women, we live our entire lives kind of on default, but you really can customize everything. So in my experience, it was all this outside pressure, and that pressure to be somebody, to be this certain person, was started making all my decisions for me, and it started just kind of almost going on autopilot and getting out of control. And that's when I kind of realized, hey, wake up, Melissa, something's not right here. And then another sign might be something like, if you're only doing what you're doing right now because it feels safe, that's a big sign. So never let fear decide your futures, because that is so easy for that to happen, because it's safe. It's inside our comfort zone. So if you're never outside your comfort zone, that is a huge sign that you might either be on the wrong path, or that you're not playing up to what you're meant to do. So playing it safe is one of the worst choices you can make in your life. As far as getting to a life that makes you feel fulfilled. And then I would say another sign is your outlook. So when you can identify, maybe something that you want to change in your life, whether it's your career, even your losing weight or starting something new, if you have a poor outlook, if obstacles are all that you see, then you're probably doing something a little bit wrong, because the difference between an obstacle and an opportunity is all about how you look at it, right? So like, again, if you're making your decisions based on, your parents, what your parents think, or what your husband thinks, or what your boss thinks, that's a big sign. You're playing it safe in your comfort zone, and if you have a poor outlook and you just don't think that you can overcome these obstacles, those are big signs that something needs to change. You have to have at least one goal that lights you up inside too. And I'm not talking about the New Year's resolutions. I'm talking about goals that really matter to you, and ones that get you outside of that comfort zone. The ones that you can use these goals as like a filter for the decisions that you make. So instead of letting the outside influences make your decisions, you can use these goals that you have to change your outlook, to change what you're doing on a daily basis, and to get you outside of your comfort zone. So I would say those are a few signs that maybe you're on the wrong path, or maybe you need to do things a little bit differently, so that you can really connect with the woman you were either before you became a mother, or maybe just connect back with who you were meant to be. That's kind of what happened with me. And really, the message there is it doesn't matter what you've done so far. Like, if you see some of these signs in your life, or if something that I've said is kind of identified with you, it's the present moment is really like all that matters. So you still have time. It's never too late to take back the steering wheel. If something's not working, you can go a little bit to the left, you can go a little bit to the right, or you can take a complete U-turn. But it's from this moment forward that everything changes, if you want it to.
Awesome. So, digging a little bit deeper then, what are some daily habits that women can adapt into their life in order to live, a better life, both professionally and personally?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's what we do on a daily basis that, makes all the difference. Like, I mean, you can't expect to show up to the gym one time and lose 30 pounds, right? So it's the
What?
same in all aspects of our I know, I wish, right? Uh, but it's what we do on a daily basis that really starts to add up. And those are the things that will allow you to start kind of stepping into the version of yourself happy and fulfilled. And they're small things, and they add up very quickly. So a lot of women don't ever take steps forward because they think it has to be this huge leap, and it doesn't. It can start out so small. So a couple of the daily rituals that made a complete, I guess, 180-degree difference in my own life is to create a weekly and daily schedule that includes two things. One is some alone time, and the other is time to work goals. So you can't just, talk about it or think about it. You have to actually get it in your calendar and commit to it the same way you commit to, an important meeting with your boss, or with a client, or a doctor's appointment, because you wouldn't skip those, right? Unless it was like an extreme emergency. So that's the same kind of commitment that you have to yourself. And yes, sometimes, especially, as mothers, that might mean waking up before the kids, waking up an hour early, or even taking turns with your husband so you can have some dedicated time. But it's critical that you have that. So you have to schedule it into your days, and then let everything else kind of fill the gaps around it. So that's one. That's probably the most powerful one that I can give to you. But there's a couple more that I think are really helpful. So if you don't have a vision board, I think that is something that every woman should have. So make a vision board, just give it a try, even if you think that that's kind of woo-woo and it's not going to work or anything, but create one, just give it a try, and then make it a habit to look at that vision board every single day, like maybe several times a day. Like have it until those words and those pictures are so ingrained in your mind that they help keep all that outside influences at bay in your life. So let your vision and your goals be that filter for what you allow to influence you. And then really think back. So many of us, we don't have healthy boundaries, and that's why as mothers especially, we end up getting taken advantage of. We end up living other people's lives. We end up putting everything for our families, our bosses, our careers. We don't take time for ourselves. So think back to a time when you really did feel whole and happy. Think about like what you were doing. What things did you enjoy at that time, and then try to incorporate some of that back into your life, whether that's a hobby, some personal development, a career that you enjoyed that you left. Start small, but you need to commit to it. You have to absolutely commit to putting these things into your life and into your schedule. And then one kind of cool thing that I like to do with my clients is to come up with a word that kind of describes how you want to feel. It can be something like empowered or happy or joyful or balanced. Mine that I have right now, I change it every quarter. Mine this quarter, the word is intentional. So it's whatever word really speaks to you. And once you have your word, try to think of boundaries you can put in place in your life to that word. And then you revisit it often so that you never forget. So, if you picked, let's say, balanced, if you're struggling to balance your job with your being a mother. So what kind of boundaries could you put in place to protect that word? So maybe it's you shut down your computer at 5 o'clock and you don't get back on it. You don't open up your emails at night. So maybe that's kind of a boundary that you could put in place. But whatever it is, you have to protect it. And how we protect it is by using boundaries. So find what works for you. You can tweak it, adjust it. The key is to never settle for something that you're not absolutely in love with.
Awesome tips. So, Melissa, there are, I'm sure, people listening who want to know how they can get in touch with you. And would you be willing to share maybe some ways they can hang out with you online?
Yes, I mean, I'd absolutely love if this message touched you or inspired you in some kind of way. I'd love to connect with you. And I actually have a free gift that kind of goes right along with what I've been talking about. So it's a guide that really walks you through how to identify your top priorities and goals. I mean, I'm talking the ones that are yours, not society's, and then incorporate those things. The things that are most important, how to get those into your daily routine. And it's incredibly simple because we definitely don't need any more complication in our lives. But it's everything you need to get started, identifying who you really are, what you really want, and then creating your path to get it. So it's everything you need to get started is right there. And it's called the Rule of Three, and you can find it and download it. I have several free resources that you can find, but that's one of them that I really like to give my clients to start out with. If you go to www.engineeredmotherhood.com/free-resources, or you can just go to my homepage, www.engineeredmotherhood.com, and there's a link in the upper right corner that says free resources. So you can go and grab that and really spend some time with it. Like I said, it's very simple, but it can really be life-changing. And then, of course, you could always email me, melissa@engineeredmotherhood.com, or follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook group, and and Twitter, Instagram. I'm out there. So Engineered Motherhood is how you can find me. And if you have any trouble with that, just feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Melissa, for sharing your story today. And I am sure that I have plenty of listeners who can absolutely relate and hopefully will walk away with some great tips to help get them back on the right path. So again, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And to the audience, of course, as always, I adore you guys. I cannot wait to see you online and in the next episode, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you for listening today. I hope that you found some inspiration from today's episode. If you would like to find me and check me out, you can head over to SuzanneProksa.com, or if you are a female entrepreneur who is purpose-driven, head over to my Facebook group at fempreneurs.biz. Thank you so much for listening today, and I will see you in the next episode.